this program is that it empowers everyone in the organization. But the message today is to extend to you an invitation to come to the table. An invitation to come to the table. The manager has dedicated his main boardroom for these meetings. But can you imagine with me? Picture where this organization will be 6 months from now. After hundreds of, or perhaps even thousands of ideas of yours have been brought to the table and been examined, and many of them we have looked at and decided to implement. Can you imagine where our organization would be? Can you imagine where our organization would be today, where we develop a whole new list of enterprises and new revenue opportunities and new ways of reducing our costs and making our organization more efficient? Can you imagine what things will look like? Okay, again, thank you so much. And for our city employees that will have an opportunity to see this video clip, we want to encourage them to get involved as we have we're practically in our roughly our 6-7 month in this CARE initiative, comprehensive assessment of revenues and expenditures, where we look at opportunities to maximize areas of efficiency and effectiveness, and utilizing what we already have, to take it to greater levels, looking at our assets, looking at our facilities, looking at our personnel, and looking at all of the opportunities that are available to us, even outside of our city. So without further ado, I want to get our manager to just give a few comments, and then we're going to jump right into the presentation, because I know his time is really, really tight, and I know Mr. Adderley, Mr. Adderley. I do want to thank Mr. Adderley and staff and yeah, and all of you that have put so much effort into it. Mr. Manager, I did have an opportunity to sit with everyone, and we did comment on and made some tweets and made some adjustments on what you will see at this time. I'll let the manager give some opening comments, and then we'll roll straight into our first presentation and move further along. Mr. Manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to speak long in here as I'm trying to get myself prepared for Sunday. I volunteered to do a sermon on behalf of the pastor. So I'm going to give you a shot from something that was brought to me. Many years ago, a pastor said to me that I need to keep my faith focused on God's vision. What I'm going to talk about Sunday is vision. Everybody want to get to the spot of vision. You want to get there. You got this vision, you want to get there real quick. It's up to y'all, all right? It's the employees, up to y'all to put your mind and your soul and your heart about the future of this city, because all of y'all have passion for the city. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's just like having a family. It's not about us. It's about the children and the generations after that. So the question is when they bury you and they go to your grave and it says the date of your birth. And at the end, it says when you pass. But in the middle, it has that dash. The question is, what are they going to say about you in that dash? What is going to be your legacy? You have an opportunity to make a difference. And this forum that we have, that I'm responsible for in this sitting here, is to give y'all an opportunity to be yourself and not by yourself. So let's move.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We also have with us here ACM Gail. Will you give her a hand, please? ACM Gordon. Happy that they are here. We also have here with us our COO here, Mr. Horton. Great. Ms. Adderley, it's on you at this time. At this time, we can move forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Woodruff. I am a member of the Workplace Efficiency Team. Allow me to introduce our fellow members. Chair, Naima Martin. Co-chair, Sarah Sumi. Co-chair, Heather Daly. Our members, Sheila Ramnarine, Jenny Wong, Marco Brito, Paula Reese, Tennille DeCoste. Now, I know time is money, so we will be as quick as possible. Our vision is to provide strategies to introduce workforce productivity, implement programs to increase morale, professional development, job enhancement, and departmental training. Currently, we have over 250 suggestions in our queue right now. Some of them are repetitious, however, we're still going through these suggestions and more will come later. But at this point in time, we're going to present to you the 6 that we think are easily implemented, that are of minimal cost to the city. Well, minimal or no cost to the city. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our co-chairs, chair and co-chair, but let me say this before I leave. Everyone wants to be appreciated. So if you appreciate someone, don't keep it a secret.
Thank you, Tracy. We received a number of suggestions about a recognition program. While we already have a longevity recognition program, there was a reoccurring theme to recognize special work efforts. So we put together a suggested program with 4 specific areas for an on-the-spot recognition that would be given by peers and management, a monthly recognition called a STAR Award that would be given by management for special projects or work excellence, an Excellence Award that would be given semi-annually by the senior leadership team, and a Great Leader Award, which would also be nominated by all employees and with the upper management. We would tie a reward to each of these tiers, and that is something that we would work with HR to develop. But basically, we feel that more appreciation leads to greater satisfaction, which leads to better morale, which then will increase retention for employees. And we also want our colleagues to know that we are hearing that they are suggesting about recognition and that it's important across the board with our peers, with our teams, and with our leaders.
Thank you, Sarah. The strength of the team is each individual member, but the strength of each member is the team. We received several suggestions that contain themes and undertones for the need for stronger teams. And the way you strengthen your team, the way you strengthen communication is to team build. Based on the theme we're seeing, our committee felt that leadership should more consistently support and promote a culture of team building through quarterly team building activities. We should also continue to support at least 2 annual employee events to help expand connection amongst employees across different departments. One of those ways, we've already kicked that off by reviving the employee picnic, which we held on June 1st and enjoyed over 500 of our employees and their families coming together, fellowshipping, and learning more about each other on a personal level. What we have found in other studies that we researched, results of high-performing teams includes establishing trust, building effective communication, building collaboration, and boosting morale. If you want high performance, you need stronger teams. And the way you do that is through supporting team building activities. Now let's take it a step further. We received several suggestions regarding healthier workforce. Now, some of the suggestions came through about having an on-site cafeteria or weekly food truck visits that are healthier in nature. And although there's some organizations that do have the on-site cafeterias, and some employers have found that employees consider it a perk and that it does help with productivity at some level because employers are not having to leave the work site in order to get a meal. But our committee said, let's take this further. We wanted to make sure that whatever we brought forth was connecting to the city's Vision 2040, where we are looking to improve the health of our workforce through wellness and other opportunities and consideration, such as the on-site health clinic that we're looking into, as well as self-funding our health insurance plan. So picture a city where we have fresh water coolers or water sites in every location, or where we have partnered with a healthy vending machine company and enjoy revenue sharing perhaps, or where we have partnered with the small businesses in the city of Miramar and in this very own promenade to create a tasty yet healthy City of Miramar special menu, discounted, and perhaps share a revenue opportunity as well. Or picture this, the City of Miramar competing in the Healthiest Cities and Communities Challenge for a piece of that $1.5 million prize. All because we have developed practical, evidence-based strategies to improve measurable health outcomes and promotion of health and wellness for our employees and our community.
So technology has really reshaped the modern workplace. And a number of our suggestions were about working from home and having remote desktops. Now, while this idea may not work in every department, but we definitely think it could work in a number of departments. We would need to work with HR to create a policy and create some guidelines and parameters to ensure its success. But there are a number of cities in the state of Florida that are working to move towards a smart city. And I think it could be a very helpful tool in recruiting and retaining some top talent. It also has potential cost savings for both the employees and the city, with travel time and gas, and as well as energy savings for the city. Directional signage. This is a very simple yet effective idea. How many times have we all been stopped by residents or visitors asking where the cashier's office is, where the cultural center is, or where the building department is? This was another suggestion we received numerous comments about, just about having directional signage in the town center. And I think it would be, and we all think it would be, a very helpful way to direct our residents, our guests, and to be able to provide better customer service.
Thank you, sir. Now, we all know that communication is the key, regardless of the individual's level within our organization. But it requires the ability to empower and to accurately implement. So we introduce State of the City, the Employee Edition. Now, this would give the city manager the opportunity to send out recordings throughout the city, whether it's on our televisions which are now in our break rooms, or we can send it out to the employees who can then record their questions, and at the time that we set up our studios, our in-house studio, those questions can then be answered at that point in time. Now, we encourage the departments to watch that as a team, the recording as a team, but if that's not possible, then of course, as I mentioned, they could watch it on the television, or it can be sent as a link through the computers and they can watch it at their leisure. This is also an opportunity for the city to publicly recognize our employees, whether they go above and beyond or simply being here for a length of time. But it is an avenue in which that the city can recognize our employees effectively. It is no cost to the city. The studio is in-house. It's a simple scheduling, having those employees there, make that recording and send it out, and another scheduling to do the recording of the segment. And that information can be sent out citywide. There is, as I mentioned, there's really no additional cost to it because we already have it.
So before we end, we just want to wrap up, and we hope that you followed along through this journey with us and connected with the themes we have brought forth to you. Themes of recognition for a job well done, when the job well done happens. So catching someone in the act and telling them right then and there how well they're doing, giving them that recognition while they're here. rather than only for tenure and when milestones are obtained. We're doing it on the spot. Or themes of collaboration, team building, and effective communication, utilizing technology to help spread the word and create a sense of inclusion. A theme of a healthier workforce and community, and the possibility of taking the City of Miramar to new heights as a smart city and healthiest city winner. Please know that this is just a taste. Our committee has received over 250 suggestions, and as we continue to work through them, there are so many more amazing ideas that are to come, and some that are already in the works. So stay tuned. Thank you.
While the expenditure group comes up, I'd like to quickly say about that team 2 points. They realized during the practice session that they have some relationships with the other committees. Case in point, if you remember, they talked about the signs. That also will relate to the private-public partnership group, and they'll be working on, yes, we need the signs, but if we can get a partner to put their name on those signs or a part of it, then the city also would have the opportunity for additional revenue. And also, when they mentioned the state of the city, we said, why don't we record this session? And this would be an opportunity for it to be one of the first things that is used under that idea. Now we'll hear from an expenditure.
Good afternoon, Mr. City Manager, ACMs, fellow employees. My name is Andrea Pedler, and I'm the chair of the Expenditure Committee. I'm flying solo today because some of my co-chairs and fellow members were otherwise occupied. There's one person who is attending a FEMA emergency training session this week, and there's another person who had previously had some personal business which he had to attend to. However, I'd like to express the opportunities afforded us and let you know some of the things that we have taken a look at. Our committee, like the other Workforce Efficiency Committee, received a number of suggestions. However, for this presentation, we'd like to focus on 4 items which we think are easy to implement and may result in some proposed savings to the city. It may seem like a simple item, number one, the business cards design. But when we looked at it, we noticed that there is a significant difference in the cost of the business cards, simple ones without the foil design and the color. There's a $783 difference in cost. Right away, that said to us, it's easy to implement if we can do this, and there are potential savings to the city. We also took a look at the policy regarding cell phone stipends. Should we do a stipend? Should we continue with allowances? Or should we give people phones? Mr. City Manager, this was one of the suggestions that I think came from you, and we thought we should take a look at it. Another thing that we looked at was the cost of detailing city vehicles and also the family health insurance coverage. Like I said before, these items are only a few of the ones that we received, and we think they are easy to implement and there may be some cost savings. Our approach was to do a SWOT analysis. SWOT meaning strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There were not threats in all 4 items. However, we focused more on the strengths, the weaknesses, and the opportunities afforded the city. First, let us take a look at the foil design. We realized that some of the business cards printed for city employees included a foil design, and some are also in color, perhaps to designate the different programs or the different departments. Our impression is that this adds to the cost of the city's printing these cards. Like I said, there's for the base business cards as compared to the ones with the foil design and the color, there's a $783 difference per box of 500 cards. And if we extrapolate that and assume that we currently have about 1,200 active employees, 25% of these persons, should they order 500 cards per year, that's a potential savings of approximately $24,000 to the city. What were some of the weaknesses? The main weakness we realized when we did our analysis was the cost in the box of 500 cards, a $783 difference. Any opportunities that we would be afforded, should we take a look at this, we could develop small business relationships with our partners locally. And it would also give the city a unique appearance in what the business cards look like. It may seem like a simple idea, but it gives us a more unified, unique approach. And it shows that we are unified as a city, rather than, in our impression, it gave us that the divisions, the departments are somewhat segmented because someone may have a blue, someone has a green. It gives a more unified approach. The other thing we looked at was, should we issue city phones or should we issue stipends? This is a hot topic. Again, here we did the SWOT analysis, but here we found some threats. Let me start with the negatives first. If the employees do not, if our issue sell allowances or stipends and they do not maintain their service, we will not be able to communicate with them when in times of need. Also, some people may feel, why do I need to be carrying two phones with me, my personal phone and a city phone? Some employees also may not like to receive a stipend because this may put them, the stipend is a taxable benefit and they are increasing their taxes. The strengths, what strengths are there? Should we decide what method are we going to choose? Are we going to issue the stipend, or do we continue providing these phones to the employees? We think perhaps if we do the stipend, there may be some potential savings to the city. Another opportunity, if we unify whatever method we want to do, is we will allow our emergency responders to be in contact with their superiors, be in contact with the city should there be an emergency. We know we're in the hurricane season now. We know where employees are and we can stay in touch with each other. The other item we looked at, and it may seem small, was the cost of doing details to the city vehicles. Previously, the expenditure came under one department, and it was moved where the different departments now are negotiating with the detailers and setting their own rates. Should we decide to go back to bringing it under the city's umbrella, we may be able to reduce our costs. We could also provide opportunities again to small and local businesses. And also, more importantly, as I said before, this is the expenditure committee. We are trying to reduce the city's cost. There's breakpoint advantages should there be the city negotiating these costs rather than the various departments doing their own thing, because we are not necessarily taking advantage of breakpoints there. And last, and by no means least, the other suggestions we reviewed was taking a look at the city's health insurance cost. Currently, some of our city employees are covering a spouse which may not be employed with the city. We know that the Affordable Care Act provides coverage for allows employers to cover their employees. However, there is no provision in the Affordable Care Act that covers a spouse. But we have to be careful there, because one of the benefits some employees look at is their health benefits. Can I cover my family? And we don't want to exclude anyone or lose a potential employee. If this is the deal breaker, I won't be able to have coverage. This is very complex, but we would require our human resources team to take a further look. But when I looked at the cost of the city per year to cover spouses who are not city employees, I think there's potential for tremendous savings here. Now, like I said, we received a number of suggestions. Some were repetitious, but we think these are potential savings to the city. They are readily, easily implemented if we so desire, and we need to take a look at this, at these 4 suggestions. Again, I don't know if there are any questions, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunities afforded us. And we look forward to continuing this experience with you and saving the city some money because, like you said earlier, we are all in this together. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Ralph Trapani, Public Works Department, Revenue Committee. We are bringing forward a recommendation for a solar-powered trash and recycling receptacle advertising program. So this program is, you can go to the next slide, please. This program is the vendor will provide the city, oh, is it me? I'm sorry. The vendor will provide the city at no cost to the city, the solar-powered trash and recycling receptacles that we would place at high traffic areas throughout the city. The caveat or the attractiveness of this program is the vendor would go out and secure advertising, and the city would split in the revenue from that advertising. Additionally, on the containers, the city gets at no cost advertising space on the side of the containers. These containers would go at locations such as bus stops, high traffic areas like the town center. And this is just a quick view of what those containers look like. They're pretty attractive. The containers, the contractor currently has an agreement with Wilton Manors, and they're very happy with the services. Additionally, there's no need to do an RFP or even a piggyback. There's a state statute that allows this kind of advertisement to go on without having to obtain any RFPs or approvals from the state or anything like that. So it's a pretty attractive program. The lead time on this is about 90 to 100 days from order of manufacturing to receiving. The contractor obtains all the advertising. We already have a tentative city approved and contractor agreement in place. So if we should decide to go ahead and move forward, we can probably turn this around pretty quick. Additionally, it will save the city costs of purchasing trash receptacles at bus stops and replacement as we do now. That would probably save us about $6,000 or $8,000 a year on that end. Obviously, the revenue projections depend upon the vendor obtaining that advertising, which we believe in the beginning will be very robust because we don't do this right now. And if you can go back to, oh, sorry, yeah. These are some of the projections that we have in place now. This would be about 50 receptacles in the beginning. And then as the program expands and we can obtain more advertising, we would probably go up to 100 containers within the city. And they're pretty attractive, like you see. I mean, they look great at night. And again, the city would obtain advertising at no cost on the sides of the containers, and we can change them out as frequently as we'd like. If you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janine Aline. I am the chair for the Public-Private Partnership, otherwise known as P3. So the first presentation that we'd like to discuss is an actual MOU that has been entered between the city and the Marriott hotel chain industry. How did this become about? We're looking to enter into a partnership where the Marriott is going to provide 20 to 25% discount for all employees and city contractors. This is no financial impact to the city. The Marriott is offering in this MOU small meeting spaces to include 12 seats for us to bring our meetings off ground, but still in Miramar, and also larger meeting spaces at discounted rates for retreats and meetings as well. This MOU includes referrals for out-of-state travel for those employees that are on conferences, which becomes an additional savings to the city. Marriott has created what they call a landing page, which is basically a link to the discount for our employees and for our contractors that can be placed on the city's intranet website. So we can have easy access to anybody that wants to go on that works for the city and access the discount for the Marriotts. And yes, this can be used for any Marriott. It's not just the local Marriotts within the city of Miramar. When we swatted it out, we looked at, well, what could be the weaknesses, threats, or opportunities? The weaknesses would be termination by either party, but it has to be done via 30-day notice. Employees don't utilize the offered discount. It's also a weakness, but I don't think it'll be a problem in this case because we have a lot of employees that go out on conferences and also would like to utilize it for their families and friends. Threats, the Marriott could withdraw from this agreement, but there's also an opportunity for other hotel chains to try and compete to give us a larger discount.
Another initiative that we looked at is Uber partnership, where we would create a Broward hub for Uber at the town center and transportation bus hub as well. Miami-Dade has a hub, but Broward does not. Monthly revenue for office rentals and savings and residents, employees on transportation would be a major benefit. The strength would be the monthly revenue that would be created from office space that is rented by Uber. There'll be less vehicle usage, and if the agreement to split fare for employees using the service for official city business. There will be employment opportunities for residents, easy access here with Uber being a hub. Also, it may help to facilitate more what we would call people visiting the Cultural Arts Center, Anson Sports Complex, and the future is looking bright with Super Bowl 2020 for Miramar to be a hub for Uber. With office space available, it would provide a lounge for drivers, and the consideration for the parking spaces available in the garage is something that we looked at. Uber may credit employees for going to local meetings and conferences, which will cut down on vehicles and save money. And the fact that we have a number of Fortune 500 companies in Miramar, this may be something that is a huge benefit as far as having customers for Uber. I'd like to talk about the weaknesses.
Okay, good afternoon, city managers. As far as the weaknesses and threats go with this Uber partnership, at this time, we feel that they're minimal. Yes, they will create additional vehicles and traffic congestion at the town center, but these would be revenue generating vehicles and congestion at the town center. Like Mr. Britton stated, this would be the first hub in Broward County, so moving forward, other cities might want to compete with us and offer a more attractive package to try and lure Uber away from us. But again, we still feel that the opportunities outweigh the weaknesses and threats.
With the opportunities, we're looking at cost savings. We have less frequent vehicle maintenance and less fuel usage. This may even apply for employees with vehicles. Monthly office space revenue that is generated, as well as from the Super Bowl, the amount of revenue that may be created, and exposure on a national and international level with Uber, having a more efficient means of transportation throughout the city, also creating a city that is eco-friendly and green, leaving less of a footprint on the environment, and federal recognized transportation savings may be a consideration having Uber here in our city.
Good afternoon. Another initiative we talked about is electric score tables at our indoor facilities at Youth Enrichment Center and also Sunset Lakes. What it would consist of is advertising revenue generating scoreboards at the facilities. It also allows small businesses the opportunity to advertise in our facilities. One of the strengths would be identifying a signature sponsor. It would be no impact to the city, as the boards will be purchased by small and large businesses. This will help advertise and bring in revenue to the city parks and recreation programs and events. With high traffic areas such as Sunset Lakes, Youth Enrichment Center with current basketball tournaments, karate tournaments that take place, there's a lot of visibility that would be able to be seen there with with the scoreboards. The scoreboards come with the laptop, and they also come pre-programmed where staff would be able to operate and upload the information. One of the weaknesses that we talked about, small businesses don't utilize the opportunity to purchase ads, so this would be a huge benefit for them. All the opportunities would be colleges and trade schools would have the opportunity to advertise to the youth and also the residents.
We would like to start this out as a pilot program and then eventually expand it to the Anson Sports Complex as well as Miramar Regional Park. We have a short presentation too as well to show you what it would actually look like. Pretty much with it again is high visibility areas. Again, we want to start that out as a pilot program and then eventually expand it out to Regional Park and also Anson Sports Complex.
So the most important things about all of the presentations that you just saw, how do we quantify the savings and potential revenue? So when we broke down the numbers and I looked at it, the average conference savings with discount for the Marriott is $85 per room. Per 6 nights is a total of $510. Without the discount, we recently had one of our committee members that went out of town on a conference, and the room cost $240 a night at 6 nights, costing the city $1,400.40. So with the Marriott discount, an average conference could save the city $675. We looked at all the conferences that the city employees take throughout the entire city. It's about 70 conferences per year. So with a discount, we would be able to save the city $47,000 a year. When I'm speaking with Uber, they're saying, you know what? This sounds like a really good idea for us to come into Miramar. When we talked about the score tables that Mr. Key presented, just to purchase the 2 tables, which would be paid for by the business, is over $19,000, no cost to the city. Your ads will really generate about $5,000 per month. Remember, your ads are coming from your local businesses, your colleges, your trade schools, just to promote what they're doing in the city and also to offer deals to our residents and the children in the city. So that's an additional $50,000 per year potential revenue. And then again, 5 years from now, how much can we gain from having scoreboards at our facilities that are advertising for our programs and helping our small businesses? $250,000 a year. Thank you. We are P3.
Let's give those that have already presented a hand if they're still here. Great job, great job. And Raph, if you can assist in telling everyone to come on in, we'll go ahead at this point in time. We'll have a presentation from our grants committee.
Okay. Hello, everyone. In the grants committee, we have a total of 6 active members. We were tasked to search and find potential grant opportunities that could assist and enhance current city programs and projects. The process is very simple. We meet twice a week for an hour. We search for available grants. We review and evaluate each opportunity, identify after we have evaluated the eligibility criteria. Those potential opportunities are routed to the department's point of contact to further evaluate if indeed that is an opportunity they will pursue.
Thus far, we have identified 225 potential grants, which were carefully reviewed by our committee. Of those 225, 111 were forwarded to the department liaisons. The total amount, I apologize. 12 grants have been applied for, and thus far, 1 has been awarded. The total amount of grants applied for equals $488,000. It is our mission as the grants committee to increase the amount of awarded grants. This is an ongoing process, and we anticipate that this number will increase.
Thank you.
The last one, the highway safety.
The highway safety.
The highway safety. Yeah, the question was which grant was awarded?
Yes, and that was the highway safety subgrants.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, city managers, and the COO, if he's still here, and CFO, and everyone. I just want to say, welcome you all, and my name is Ian Evans Smith, the chair for the Reserve Committee. Let me just get that one, okay. I must apologize for Ian Thomas, a co-chair. He has a prior day off, so he won't be able to make it today. And if there are any members of the Reserve Committee, could you please stand to be acknowledged? Okay, that's one of the challenges that we've been having. Of course, you know, members being busy for some reason or the other. But let me go ahead. This recommendation, as you can see, let me just read it quickly. Evaluate and establish renewal and replacement reserves for building, infrastructure, etc. This will allow us to benefit from compounding of interest earnings on the amount set aside and to reduce future impact on borrowing and budget. All right. There are three initiatives that we looked at where we saw potential for inflows to put in our, to put away in reserves. And the first one here, billboard advertising. Now, for the first year, what we looked at was with a potential of about 2.595 million. We estimated just about to put aside 1% of that amount. And of course, that consists of the sign-on bonus of 1.575 million and $20,000 for the annual inflow. Now, for year 2020, we'd be looking at 25,950. That's 1% of that amount I just mentioned. For the next year, 2021, we wouldn't have that initial sign-on bonus, but we would have that inflow, which is going to be increased by roughly 2%. So we would have 1% of that, 1.04 million, which would be 10,404. And with another 2% increase on that inflow for 2022, projected 10,612. Our second initiative, which is the P card incentive, there is an estimate of around $340,000 that we see as getting initially. There may be more going forward, but what we decided to do was just take 5% of that amount and project that out at a straight line basis for 3 years from 2020 to 2022. And just to mention, as I said, that there are potential for that amount to be higher as we look on getting more vendors to buy in to our P card incentive program. The third and last, which is our sweep investment initiative. Now, this initiative came up because one of the things we saw was over the years we've been meeting with our banks, and we've always looked at opportunities to increase our investment income. And this sweep investment initiative was implemented and sometime last year. Of course, one of the things we're looking at is to start for 2020 to get some of the benefit from that for the CARE program. This is not a percentage, this is a straight dollar amount, which we decided to set aside. We're estimating around $30,000 that we are making each month extra interest. So we decided to just take 10,000 of that. And we're projecting a 10% increase for years 2021 to 2022. And also, before as I close, just to mention that there are possibly other opportunities for the Reserve Committee to get in other income or other inflow. And one of the things we want to just say now, looking at all the other 9 committees, wherever you see any revenue or source or any possibility for you to have any funds coming into your committee, we, the Reserve Committee, are ready and waiting to help you to invest that money. Thank you very much.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not sure if everyone here understands what a sweep really is.
Okay.
Is this nightly daily, weekly?
All right.
Explain to
I
the
can explain
group.
that. Now, one of the things is, our bank is Wells Fargo, and we had over the years been talking to them about the possibility of getting a little more, interest in revenue, by investing some of the funds that we have in our main, what we call pool cash account. And this sweep investment was something that we identified. We had a meeting with them in our annual meeting last year when Ms. Suzanne, the CFO, Suzanne Gunnen-Librard came on board. And one of the things we looked at was, yes, the sweep, because we had discussed other options. And the sweep takes place on a daily basis. So what they do pretty much is to move any excess funds over a certain dollar amount that we maintain with them. We have an agreement signed and say, hey, this is the amount that we want to be left in our pool cash. Anything over and above that needs to be swept and put in investment account, in the sweep account, and it's a money market fund. And we pretty much are getting about 200 basis points, over 200 basis points on a daily basis. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Tiffany Polanco with Utilities. I have Sal, our co-chair, and Mr. Reggie, and the other Sal from Engineering. And we are doing, our committee here is volunteerism. Okay. So we have we have 3 recommendations, and one of them being Kohl's. Kohl's would actually give us money and volunteers for any events, and it's about $500 per event. We have a potential of making guesstimated about 64.5 a year, and that's with all the events that the city has. We do have some weaknesses, but we have more strengths, including a financial gain for the city of Miramar. There's several cost savings. The only weakness that we have at this point is maybe a language barrier and maybe the unskilled and professional employees. Other than that, we have 2 to 3 volunteers per event at $500 per event, and all we need to do is give a 60-day notification to the store manager.
Hello, everybody. This is about an organization that is called Beach Grown, and it's a parent communication workshop, and it's a free training, and they support for teen parents, and they create a strong community. One of the few weaknesses that it has is the low attendance in the classes and the need for childcare, but they have great opportunities, and here's a few of them. It builds a healthy relationship, supporting the thriving families, and mentoring opportunities. And this is one of the reasons why we are recommending this program. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I have Sophia, South Florida Institute on Aging. It's basically computer programming to teaching our seniors, ages 60 and over, about basic computer lessons. So it's a free training. There's about 13,000 seniors, 60 and up, in Miramar as of 2017 census. It creates stronger communities. It's a relevant training on the use of computers. The only weakness that we found was the inability to prove effectiveness. The opportunities we found, it will build fellowship as when they come for social gathering, supporting thriving families, and improving communication skills. And another one of our threats is Kohl's funding is removed, and we were already in partner with the P3 to find new partnerships. So, and the reason we will recommend this slide.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aubrey Boyd. I'm the chair of the Energy Committee. My co-chair couldn't be here. He had an emergency he had to go to, and everyone else is, pretty much busy. Today, we're gonna go over two presentations. The first one gonna be LED streets, and the other one is trains, so a citywide energy savings. Future initiatives, we have 4 more that's in the works now. They're ongoing. First one, we're gonna, whoa. There you go. Okay, the first one we're going over is street projection. The city currently owns over 376 city lights, and they're using the old technology, which is called the high pressure sodium vapor. We would like to convert those lamps over to LED. Some of the advantages of converting it over would be to improve lighting for the right-of-ways, enhance safety for pedestrians and motorists, and also have a maintenance and energy savings cost of roughly 55 to 65%. And these street lights are being 4 different locations. If we do convert over, we normally have 2 basic forms of lighting, which is a shoebox style and a Cobra head style. I prefer the Cobra head style of lighting because the lights owned by Broward County and by FPL uses the style, so you want to be consistent with them. The cost in between the two is just mere pennies. I think like 12 to 14 cents each. So the cost is irrelevant. It's pretty much up to you in style. So I presented you guys with 2 options. The first option would be FPL, if FPL did the light change for us. The cost installation would be 0. The project cost would be 0. But FPL will charge us a removal fee of over $18,000 a year, just to remove all of them. Then they're gonna charge us a maintenance fee every year for perpetuity for a little over $200,000 a year for maintenance fees. And also a conversion fee to convert everything over from the old style to the LED. So you're looking at a first year cost, if we go with FPL, a little over $26,000, $226,000. If we go the other option, which is a vendor, the vendor want to upfront cost of installation of $75,000 and project cost of $127,000. So the first year cost of the vendor would be $203,000. And that's an upfront cost, but we do own the fixtures and we don't have to pay any maintenance fees. So some of the advantage of this, if we go with a vendor, you're looking at $26,000, a little over $26,000 in savings. Both would give us over 331,000 kilowatts of saving of energy. You're looking at payback, if we go to vendor, 2.5 a year of ORI payback. If we go with FPL, they charging roughly $45 a fixture forever for perpetuity. So you have your option if you go with a vendor or you go with FPL. I leave that choice up to the city manager. Next one is on Train. We had Train come in to give us an override city view of energy savings and what can they offer us. So Train did a walkthrough survey and a utility bill analysis of selected facilities. We picked over 56 areas for them to walk through and see how they can present us savings. First total would be we roughly spend over $2.2 million a year on utility bills, which includes the water plant. If we go with Train for savings, we're looking at roughly $301,000 a year savings. Without the water plant, we don't include the water plant, the savings drop drastically because water plants is a big consumer of energy. It only comes to like $134,000 a year. These are some of the locations that we had the the vendor go through, and this is some of the examples where they would change out LED lighting, they would do water plant conversion, blowers, chillers, HVAC systems, and energy management programs. I gave you 2 options. Either we can go with the entire, all 56 facilities, gonna end up $2.7 million to do everything, or we can break it down into different areas. Say if you only wanna do utilities, that time is broken down the cost just for utilities. We can pick and choose where we wanna go if we don't wanna do it all at one time. If we do it all at one time, you're looking at a cost of $2.7 million with an estimated saving per year, about $365,000. Return or ORI payback, looking at 7.1 years. If we go with a loan and get everything at one time. Or we have another option, go a 12-year lease. A 12-year lease, it'd be financed out. You're looking at overall 12 years. We roughly a savings of $4.4 million. And the cost of this with being financed is $3.3 million. Still giving us a saving of $1.6 million if we choose to go by financing. So those are your options are there. Some of the advantages with being with Train is that they are a Miramar vendor and they are U.S. communities, just to name a few. So we can actually get probably more savings with that. So these are the two options that I present to the city manager. All right, thank you, guys.
Welcome and good afternoon. We are the Conservation Policy Committee, and on the screen are all our members. With us today, we have Greg Rust, Michael Alpert, Nixon, Honorary Member Matthew, Elsie, Rita, and Carla, and I am Fiona. During this survey process, our team received 39 suggestions. Today, we'll be sharing 9 of our favorable suggestions, which are shown here along with their respective savings. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my voice, but I'll do my best. The vision of this Conservation Committee is to reduce resource consumption and implement inefficiencies resulting in savings, which takes various forms: money, fuel, energy, water, goods, greenhouse gas emissions, just to name a few. We want to create a generation of employees and ultimately residents that are vested in environmental conservation while enhancing the city's image as a forward-thinking, smart, green city. Our main goals are to implement policies that will showcase this city as a smart, green city, also addressing best practices, efficiencies, and resource conservation. Our first of 9 suggestions is the double-sided printing default, which is projected to save us an estimated $10,565 annually, simply by changing the default from one-sided prints to two-sided prints and all city printers. Our IT department has the ability to program the city copiers to print on 2 sides, and there's absolutely no cost to do so. Users who require single-sided prints are still able to do so by adjusting the default. Two-sided prints were the format, or this was a default of our previous copier company. So why not revert? It will reduce costs, reduce paper waste, and if black and white copies are default, why not also make it double-sided?
Good afternoon. Our next initiative is for minimizing the idling of our fleet vehicles. This proposal would not have any cost to the city, but rather would have a projected annual savings of about $160,000 from both reduced fuel consumption and the frequency of long-term maintenance. We currently have the technology that can monitor our vehicles. Effectively, this policy has already been in place for some departments, but has not been actively enforced. The heads of the departments that operate the majority of the city's vehicles are in support of this. It's important to note that this would add years to the vehicles, as well as to their warranties. Some other benefits include reducing greenhouse gas emissions, reducing the likelihood of theft, compliance with the Global Covenant of Mayors, and of course, marketing and promotional opportunity as reflected in the vehicle shown on the slide. Fiona?
The third is our computer hibernation policy. Hibernating computers is the fastest, safest, and most effective way to reduce a computer's electrical consumption while it's not being used. Launching this hibernation policy on the city's 1,150 computers would generate an estimated savings of $10,404 a year, and that's conservative. First of all, There is absolutely no cost to implement. Our knowledgeable IT staff are willing to implement such a policy, and they're just waiting, they're just a directive away. The software is already in place for this. Once again, in making our city more competitive as a smart green city, we would be changing our behavioral culture, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and will be in compliance with the Global Covenant for Mayors.
We also suggest retrofitting our existing water fountains to include bottle filling stations. This would reduce the use of plastic bottles and would also promote the city's high-quality water. We already have the infrastructure in place, and we have qualified staff to install and maintain this equipment. In addition to minimizing the amount of plastic water bottle usage, it is also more hygienic. It would give us another opportunity to brand the city's water, perhaps lead to P3 and sponsorships, and promote to our residents and employees the importance of reusing permanent bottles rather than tossing out the plastic ones, which increase the waste in our landfills. The graphic above shows what this equipment looks like and how it can track the number of plastic bottles not being used. Thank you. Elsie?
This proposal is about showcasing Miramar's high-quality drinking water. And how are we going to do this? With the Miramar water trailer, let me explain this. The city has excellent water quality. We even sell water to bottling companies. So why not capitalize on this and brand our water? Just imagine, ice cold chilled water available at city events like 4th of July and Shakespeare on the Park. No hookup necessary, just park and pour. Shh, you could almost hear that chilled water. No single-use plastic bottles, reduce solid waste, it's a winner. The water trailer will pay for itself with sponsorships and then even generate revenue. Our proposal is based on a model from the City of Denver's water trailer, which has a chiller and a 200-gallon storage capacity. Not only will the trailer showcase our city water, reduce trash, help us score higher on Moody's credit rating, make us more competitive as a smart green city, and listen to this, it could also be used for post-hurricane response when cold water is so valuable. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Our committee believes it's very important to address single-use plastic. Why? Because plastic never goes away. It breaks down to microplastic. It pollutes our waterways. It affects all creatures, big and small. Our main purpose is to reduce plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam. We have separated our suggestions into two categories, internal and external. It's fast and it's an easy way to implement for internal operations. There will be no cost. It's as simple as an administrative policy. Over 17 cities and counties have passed legislation to eliminate single-use plastic. We can change the use and toss culture. We can reduce environmental hazards that could possibly pose a threat to the public safety of the residents of Miramar. We can reduce the negative impacts that impact our water quality and our wildlife population. Our turtles should not die because they have straws stuck in their noses. That's bad, right? Okay. So, again, this is as easy as implementing an administrative policy to eliminate the purchase of plastic bags, straws, styrofoam from our city purchases. So, For our external operations, single-use plastic takes hundreds of years to break down. We can educate the community through outreach programs. Our smart green city can ensure that our ecotourism can flourish, because Florida is the #1 fishing capital of the world, and we want to keep it this way, right? Right. So if you're heating your food in some styrofoam, you may end up eating, along with your fish taco, you may end up eating microplastics. So I have an example here. These two containers, regular carry-out containers, they look both the same, right? And they're just standard containers, okay? This one is made out of compressed fibers. This one is made for styrofoam. This one degrades in 2 to 6 weeks. This one, it takes 1 million years to get rid of this. 1 million years, okay? So which one do we want? Do we want the compressed fiber or do we want the styrofoam? Which one do we want, Matthew?
Green grass, not dirty.
That's right, we want green grass and not dirty trash. That's right. All right. Thank you, Matthew. So over 17 cities and counties have implemented these ordinances. We have Orlando, Coral Gables, Surfside, Hallandale Beach, Delray Beach, and Gainesville. Do we want to be the ones holding the plastic bag for 1 million years? I think not. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This next initiative is yet another one that would further the city's goal and commitment to become a smart green city. It makes a case for the provision and installation of EV charging stations at both city facilities for the city fleet, for residents not doing business with the city, and also at other private shopping centers where there's high traffic and a critical mass that would otherwise warrant such infrastructure. There are currently 2 vendors that are ready to install several stations on city facilities at no cost to the city. And then it can even yield revenue to the city because there's a revenue share model of 90% to 10% after return on investment. On the city, while EV technology is becoming more and more prevalent throughout the county, the city currently has only one, which is only available to the police department, and it's rarely used. It is, as you look at that map here, it is safe to assume that the city, that as a city, we are lagging behind other municipalities in the county. This next proposal is closely related to the previous one because it talks about the fleet electrification, about electrifying our current fleet to vehicle replacement programs. I mean, the suggestion here would be to start with a 10-car pilot. As we replace older cars, we can start with 10 electric vehicle cars, and which, as we will see later, would generate over the life cycle of these vehicles over 10 years about $50,000, which can be used to acquire other EV vehicles. Some of the best candidates could be the older vehicles, and like I mentioned before, if you look at this side-by-side comparison of a fuel-based vehicle, a Ford Escape, and a Nissan Leaf, which is an electrical one, yet, yes, the initial cost would be higher, $5,000 for the electric vehicle, but over the life cycle of that vehicle, the city would end up saving about $13,000. And then again, this is an example of the city of Coral Gables, who has been our leaders in this electrifying their fleet. This is a city of 51,000. The city of Miramar has a population of over 140,000 as of today. This Coral Gables already has 51 electric vehicles in their fleet, which is about 10% of their total fleet. So I think this is a pretty good example that the city can use and can model, our fleet after, and then it to be a better environmental steward, and then better comply with the mayor's global covenant. Thank you. I'm sorry. And then again, as we talk about EV charging stations, the technology is already here, and then you can purchase those chargers at retailers. Costco's offer one, and which costs approximately $600. And then you can also, there's some to Amazon that anybody can right now acquire for less than $500, because it's an easy, simple technology. It's essentially plug and charge, literally. So, and I think, as a city, this is the way to go. Thank you.
All in all, as you can see, conserving is the way of the future. And with these 9 suggestions presented here today, they provide countless opportunities for us to develop action-oriented policies, not just for our current generation, but for that of the future. We want to thank you for your time. And are there any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, that concludes. We did want an opportunity for some question and answers for any of you that have heard some things perhaps for the first time and would like to ask a few questions. Want you to come up if you could. And so since we're recording, we want to put it on the record. Really proud of each of you and the job that you've done. Anyone here that has a question or two? Okay.
For the streetlights, and I noticed you'll have 2 heads here, the shoebox and the Cobra. And I know our community development department likes to have the teardrops. And I was told there was another heads out there that just have a similar look as a teardrop head.
Teardrop, the cost is not that different, so we can get whatever you want. But what I talked to my assistant director, and they were saying they would like the Cobra style, because they had some at other locations. They said that style was the best to illuminate, so that's why I only put those 2. But I can also give you another option, it's no problem.
And the reason I said a Cobra, because if you look along, I think it's Red Road here, I mean, the teardrops, that's pretty much what you have on this side.
Yeah, FPL is putting, if you go down like by Vizcaya Park and all that, those are Cobra heads out there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, but you do have a teardrop that you could.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
It's no problem.
Very good. Anyone else? I wanted to talk a little more about the electrical charging stations, the one that presented that, if you can come up. Want to find out in your research, looking at all of the different facilities throughout South Florida. Did you find any out there that would partner with us? And I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just for the sake of those listening and those that will be watching, what type of revenue did they discover, or did you discover in that process?
This is a negotiable, it would be negotiable upon the contract, but what they offered at the beginning is 60/90 revenue. So after receiving I think they will charge about $2 to $3 an hour per hour charged of electricity, and then they would keep 90% and give the city 10%, but of course that is totally negotiable. And in addition to that, some of the machines have the ability to have a digital screen. So if they bring in some sort of an advertisement or anything in there, then that would be added revenue to that. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Or I'm quite intrigued by, at least what I'm seeing. There's a grocery store that seemed to have partnered with Tesla. But obviously, if I'm driving another type of electrical vehicle, that will not help me. Can you talk a little bit about how that arrangement came about?
Okay.
If you,
The one with Tesla?
yes.
I wouldn't know how that, that's the area in front of Whole Foods I think you're referring to. I'm not sure how that came about, but the two companies that we have been speaking to, they would install universal chargers. So you could plug in a Tesla and you could plug in any of the other models. But again, this is something that we as a city can decide, but I think it would be smart not only to receive Teslas, but also receive the other ones. So we have two companies they're ready to go the moment we tell them where and when. And one of them is GreenSpot and the other one is Brickell Energy. Brickell Energy has already locations throughout Florida, and GreenSpot is not in Florida yet. And they are in Maryland, they are in New Jersey, and different northern states. I believe they just got awarded in maybe Georgia. And they would offer not only charging stations, but they would offer also shared electric vehicles if we so desired.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
That would be at no cost.
I'm coming back to the the water trailer.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand, what do you have a startup cost, what this would cost the city, or is this
Yeah, let me show you. So there are a couple of models. The model, the Denver Water, cost about $60,000, and it has storage capacity. The one on the right does not have storage capacity, so basically you just plug it into a water source. So you would have to park it close to a water source. However, the one on the top is being used by the city of San Francisco and also Hillsborough County. It's called the Quench Buggy, and they can do any graphics that you want. It's about $48,000. It does not include chiller, and it does not include storage. And the one in the bottom is City of Tallahassee that was retrofitted by staff. They bought like a truck that it was like a food truck, and it cost them about $18,000 to do it. And it was retrofitted by staff, but it does not have storage. So the thought in here is that if we do the Denver model, we could obtain $20,000 a year from sponsorships, pay it all off in 3 years, and then continue to generate revenue, because it would be pretty much a moving billboard.
Thank you, thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Don't be bashful. No. Reggie, you look, you got a couple of questions. Come on, bring them on down. Bring them on down. See, I read your mind. Come to the mic. Huh? Oh, okay. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Mr. Adler, you have any thoughts? No? Okay, Kirk, you're standing up in the back. Does that mean you got something for us? No, okay. No, no questions. Mr. Adderley, just put it on the mic, sir, please.
Hope this will turn around so I can face them. I'd like to say thank you for all of the hard work. Then I killed the camera.
Yeah, you can't put your back to the camera.
I thought that was the camera. I'd like to thank all of you for all of the hard work that you put through. You know, those emails, those blue emails came left and right. But I also like to say I'm very happy to see how now you see what your other teams are doing, and you see the opportunities, how you can help each other. And I want to continue that. Yes, we kind of picked on P3, a new name, a lot, but you also see how volunteer P3 works together. You can see how conservation will need P3 and maybe even volunteer. And we got to do those things or continue to do those things so that we can help this city be better than it already is. So I am very pleased, and I wanted to say it on record, with what I've seen out of the teams in the most recent weeks and months. And you should be proud of yourself. And I don't know if it's a close, but as a close, you need to give yourself a hand. Thank you.
Yeah, my closing thought here is not just so much you guys putting all this together, but just to see everybody coming up here and be in front of the podium and talking about these, because I guess a lot of folks here doesn't get the opportunity to come up here and do these things. But it's really good to see every individual come up here and talk about their product or their ideas. It really gives me a good understanding more. A lot of these stuff that y'all have been, talking about, the Uber and all these things. I didn't know Uber would do something like that. So you guys are really, really good. Michael talked about the idling of the car. That's something that's always in my head. Why the cops always leave the car running, right? But I'm glad other people have seen it and bring it up now. So that's really good, and I really appreciate every one of y'all support coming up and doing the presentation. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon. The manager unfortunately could not get back, but I was, he was in my ear as he was listening, and he said, "Man, this is so good. It's hard to leave," because he's been summoned somewhere. But the beauty is that we were able to capture the footage. That we'll get it quickly edited. I'll certainly give him some highlights, and he'll make a determination of what we'll be doing in terms of moving forward. But I want to tell you that we're just a little late at kind of coming to this point that a session like this should take place like quarterly, because right now we roughly got 30 something pieces in here, and which he may give the okay, I want them all. And so it kind of, put a lot of effort on our part to kind of get some of this stuff up and going. So we will be doing this on a quarterly basis. We more than likely will have one session before we wrap up this budget year. So just kind of, be on the lookout and begin to plan for some of the stuff you still have in the hopper. Some of the stuff I didn't have a chance to meet with some of you on, that I'll certainly get a little more involved in some of the details to it, because we do want to move forward and get it on the city records and get revenues flowing in and all of that good stuff. Want to quickly, I can't find I don't know where the clicker is, but just want to give you just a real quick highlight of where we are right now in terms of some of the revenues that we are pursuing very heavily, and this is like in addition to what you all have added. This is kind of like a snapshot of and some of those numbers are very conservative. None of this was presented because some of these projects had already started, but the goal is to have them all implemented and in place in the next 60 days or so. And that's roughly about $4 million of new revenue coming into the organization. And so we are hoping, again, these are just what we call some of the low-hanging fruit that we've been working on for almost about 6-8 months, actually prior to us actually formally activating the program. So do want you to make note of that because as you go around the organization, you'll be seeing some of these things happening real shortly. Also, we have several gift cards and things that businesses in our community has donated to the city for this cause, and I believe we have a little process here. But just so we don't have to bring you back to kind of make this happen, because we did represent to these businesses that it was going to go to folks that have gone beyond the call of duty and helping our city. Again, so we'll be back. We'll be getting back with you with the suggestions that the manager desires to move forward with. We'll be trying to do that the early part of next week. But I don't think you've heard the last of him concerning what he's heard and what you all have presented to him today. So I want to wish you all a happy and a safe weekend, and we look forward to working closely with you into the future. Thank you very much. God bless you all.